I was giving some people an example. I hope hakuna parking ya Subaru hapa chini. I was telling them, if Janet Mbugua today did a play on drug barons, then nikuje nimuokote. What does that say about me? Inamaanisha nimeegemea hiyo upande. Nimeguzwa. Sindio? The shoe fits, yeah?
Kuna ka live wire mahali.
Exactly. So tunafaa kukuwa na right ya ku display, ya kuonyesha jamii kile ambacho kinaendelea pale nje kupitia sanaa. And that is why vile tu umesema sanaa ikiota jamii. Na the moment mtu ame-infringe on that right, ame-infringe on your rights to expression. Hayo ni makosa mtu yangu.
Sana sindio?
Kabisa 100%.
Well, let's take a couple of steps back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wewe ni storyteller.
Correct.
Ni msanii. Ni all those things.
Yeah.
What are all those things?
Wow. First of all, like I said yesterday, I am a product of the Kenya National Drama Festivals. That is where I was conceived. So, wow. Storytelling is broad, is diverse. Iyo skit mtu anapiga pale mtandao, that's storytelling. Iyo play msichana wa Butere Girls anafanya kwa stage, that is storytelling. Ile cinema tumeandika kama hiyo yenye tulitoa last year, that's storytelling. So mimi anywhere stories are being told, I am there. I am there. Nikisema all those things, niju storytelling is so wide. So niko kwa all those different facets.
What led you there?
Wow. It's a long story, lakini let me try and summarize it. So as a kid, I always knew that I had a thing for TV, but I didn't know how to get there until when I was 12, when I met a veteran. Na ni ile tu kibahati kimungu, I didn't know. So I was doing my rounds in Kibich, nini. That's where I grew up. Then I met this gentleman in a very nice, sleek Mercedes-Benz. Kuona Mercedes Kibich, hiyo si kitu ya kawaida. Doesn't happen every Tuesday. So mazemi, I'm there trying to peep into his vehicle, nini, akakama kanichuna masikio kidogo, but friendly, gently, like, the way a father would. So akaniza, what are you doing there? Nini, nikamwambia I'm fascinated by a vehicle. Akaniambia ingia hapo, let's go for a drive. Mind you, I was only 12. So as we were driving, this gentleman tells me like his life story in 20 minutes. Born somewhere, I think at the coast, I'm not very sure. Went to a good high school, went to the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, was employed at KBC, rose to become one of the guys at the Presidential Press Service. The name of this gentleman is Ishmael Mohamed. Alikuwa analeta show ilikuwa inaitwa Yaliyotokea back when you are
NZZ.
Exactly. So from that nikajiambia, so watu wakienda kwa TV wanaendeshaga Mercedes. Even though ninaingia. So that is how I ended up in media.
Like that was the take. TV, let's do this.
So when I went to KMC, I discovered film production. And the film productions, script writing is there.
Right.
Maybe naturally I'm a storyteller. Nini wale watu, we were CEOs when we were in primary. Abel and your company hapo nyuma, mutoke. Yeah. So I knew, hii story yote muko ganazo huku, I can put them down. Na request screenplay na tufanye. That's how I ended up in scripting.
Then of course you went into acting.
Yes,
you know that.
correct.
But in terms of the storytelling, something shifted during the pandemic.
Yes.
COVID is what introduced the mkurungezi community.
Yes, that is very true.
And in a way, I think you and your folks, your people, the big six, the round table you did, culture shifters in storytelling.
Correct.
How did that happen? How did you merge storytelling to shifting perspectives culturally? How did that happen?
So, like I said, niliingia story to scripting nini, so I was doing TV shows. That's my area of expertise. And it's weird. Like I've written quite a number of shows, but anytime people are mentioning script writers and nini, I was nowhere in the room, and I wonder why. So COVID comes, Judy decides, well, umetupigia stories za kutosha hapa, ebu tuende pale urecord these stories. Let's find you a new audience. You are boring us to death with your stories, man. So I go, we record the story, and it goes out viral. So see, that's how the YouTube thing was born. Now, the power of a community. So as I was doing my storytelling online, I kept reading the comments. Now guys were there like, hey, manze, I didn't know about XYZ. Because of your story, now I'm in the know. I was feeling A, B, C, and D, but because of your story, now I'm feeling a bit different. You've given me a new lease of life. Hey, I was like, manze, this thing is powerful then. So me, I am a very good listener. I listen to what the people on the ground want. So the issues that nilianza kuona ziko mob, I picked up on those issues and just started addressing them. Pole pole tu on my stories. I go and do a bit of research on them, then I address. Hivyo tu tukaanza kufix nation pia sisi. One story at a time. One story at a time. That's how it started.
And so when you're telling stories, it's about entertaining, but also about changing perspectives. I mean, it's a balance for you.
So yeah, I usually tell guys my stories have three things: the entertainment aspect, there has to be some sort of inspiration there, and I have to educate. Yeah, if I have two of those three things in a story, I'm good. If I'm missing two, that story is not worth touching.
Dead and done.
Yeah.
In a country where sometimes the structural support is missing, clearly community is the thing you've leaned on.
Very true.
Community of creators, community of also people who are consuming the content.
Yes.
What would you say is the one thing that community has given you that you think isi kazi yenu but mmeifanya anyway?
Wow. That's a very good question. So my background is in film. Unfortunate that I'm saying this on national TV, but film as an industry in this country has been dead and buried for the longest. There's a way people used to do stuff. It doesn't work for Africa. End up at your funding your $100 million, come produce your film. That one can never work. Now, number two, you can't grow using such a model, because you know what happens? A producer who's very talented spends 6 years chasing for funding so that they can produce one movie. By the time they're producing this one film, amechoka, ataki hata story, anataka tu ai produce, amalize, aende. So zero marketing, zero nothing. As long as they kept a little profit, that's it. So we are not pushing our films. That's why ukitembea kwa streets a good chunk of Kenyans will tell you, we want to support, but we don't know where to get your movies.
Yeah.
So now here is where the community came in. We decided we need to change that thing. First of all, we cannot be begging people for funding. Because again, like I said, the industry is almost non-existent. So this person who's giving you the funding, unamrudishia pesa yake aje. Industry exists. So we decided, you know what? Hawa mkurungezi hawa, tutawaambia tu plight yetu. Tuambie situation vile iko kwa ground. The situation on the ground is that we are struggling as filmmakers. But there's a way we can turn that around. Number one, hii funding tunaenda kupigia wazungu magoti watupatie. Nyinyi mnaweza ingia kwa mfuko mtupatie ka 100 hapa, so 2 pale, so 5, 1000 hapa. Whatever we collect, tuende tufanye mambo yetu. That's number one. So now the issue of funding tumesha sort. Haya, once we have our show, nyinyi ndio our first customers. Nyinyi ndio community yetu. We've gathered you as a community for like 2 years now. Tukitoa cinema, kwa nini nyinyi msikuwe the first people to watch? So those people were our first customers. Unaona? And then they became our sales agents. Yani the community imetusaidia hii town. Kama si hao hata sijui tungekuwa wapi.
Kupush.
Mbaya. So now the industry imeanza kukani kama something is happening.
And we got used to that idea of paying for Kenyan content.
Exactly.
Once it becomes access, it doesn't have to be in a theater, it doesn't have to be at the Azimom industry.
Actually, just to brag a bit, sisi ndio the reason squeeze unasikiaga kitu ikitokea, si uweke link tulipie. Sisi ndio tulianzisha kitu ya kulipa na link. Innovation tu kidogo. Na again, ilitoka pia from community. From one of our audiences hapo walisikia tuna struggle, they are good in tech. Akaka reach out. Niaje wacha tutengeneze platform.
Right. 1 + 1 = 2.
Exactly.
Now that's a structural issue that's clearly lacking, but you figured out a way.
Yes.
The same structures are here trying to maliza our girls in Butere.
Yes.
Let me just initial thoughts even before you are the creator, you're the nini as a parent.
Yes.
What went into your mind when you're seeing these girls, Jana, even being banned before, but specifically Jana?
Wow, you know, for you to be hated by high schoolers, you have to be So first of all, after the incidences yesterday, tulirudi tu huko kwa kina Koigi wa Mwere. It's sad that these are things we are talking about in 2025, to be really honest. Hata Koigi kwa life, by the way. Yuko area. Hey, mazee najua mali yuko amechoka mbaya, man. And yani art. Kuna mali watu wanafaa waende tu wa relax ni hapo kwa art. Juu the thing that art is doing for people out here. Bra, kama CEO Drama Festival platform, I wouldn't be here. And the mimi kukosa kuku hapa, it means hundreds of other creators hawangekuwa hapa. Yeah. So it's sad that we had to get to that point. Personally, I think they made a fuss out of something that didn't warrant it. Hiyo kitu, by the way, wangenyamazia. Ingeenda nationals, itolewe hapo national. Isiende gala State House, wangeitolea tu hapo national. So ipati hata number 2.
Mbona unawapatia ideas? Mbona unawapatia ideas?
But now, because of what they did, imefika point now, guys are willing to pay waende wa watch. In fact, I'm getting a lot of DMs, maze. You guys, you do your thing, maze. Iloteni hapa KNT wana tulipe tu.
What do you actually considering it? From your own understanding, what is the issue?
So, I feel like someone felt tagged. Iko mtu alifeel tu ametagiwa na hiyo piece. Now, the fact that they felt tagged says something. Again, just the example I gave you when I started. If it was a play on drugs, angeongea. The fact that it was a governance thing, na akafeel lazima ni address, it means they felt tagged. Watu kuna mali wananiweka na. So why alianza kujishuku hiyo design? To be really honest, I have no idea. Wachana wasichana wafanye mambo yao. I saw some the statement by the Ministry of Education. Wasai wanatry kusafisha wakisema, actually, you know, the problem is that the trainers are not people in they're not in the education sector, and that's illegal. Me, I have been confessed since primary school. The top schools, top institutions, hakuna. All the trainers are usually outsiders.
Right? It's always a guy from
Baya.
So the rigging.
Yes.
Ni rigging.
Trainers
unajua unawapea content ingine sahi.
Miss Esuchi, I think she's still at Maseno now.
Yeah.
She left my school.
You went to Maseno?
No.
Oh.
She would transfer to Maseno. Yeah. Alikuwa anafanya kazi mob sana. She should have just hired someone.
Anyway.
It was always someone from the outside teaching drama. Always someone from either KNT, from somewhere. I don't think there's a problem with it. We had this conversation, like we're saying we have a shortage of teachers for especially the arts. Then how do you help that? When you're saying only people from TSC can teach these subjects, leather crafting, or drama. Come on, najifungia. If they are qualified and they can do it, and qualified doesn't mean TSC necessarily.
True.
If they are capable.
If they're in the industry, it means they understand it.
Exactly.
Do you think, in light of what happened at Butere Girls, maybe even speaking for you or other people who express creatively, does it now make you question, nervous, scared? Because I think that's what the intention was. So you as Abel, you're now thinking, I have this idea, or my next platform, this is what I'm going to talk about. Does it make you now rethink and say, hey, Hapo, I think I need to edit what I'm going to say?
And you see, it shouldn't be like that. That's actually my problem. The thing about art is usually a tool that pushes heritage to the next generation. So when you get to a point where you feel like you need to start altering a few things or editing a few things so that you can fit a certain narrative, then we lose authenticity from that point onwards. That's why art should not be interfered with. So mimi personally nakuaga manga, so sita edit. But I know there are people like me, creative minds like me, when you want your bandwidth, they can't, so what anza kurilook their content pieces. Na ifai kukua hivyo.
And I think that's the intention. So what do we do? How can we protect people's voices?
Actually, whatever happened yesterday, tuendelee namna hiyo. Inject. Ukiona tu infringement tu kidogo, piga nduru. Let's do it that way. That is the only language our to understand. But if we become nonchalant about it, sasa sini hivyo ndio wametuweza. Let's make noise.
Ukiona infringement kidogo, kidogo. Piga nduru.
Piga nduru. Did you see the way people went up in arms, Jana? Jana was a beautiful day. Isn't zile vitu ni unfortunate, lakini the end result
is beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Now, is this a form of art? Even the way, we express ourselves with memes, with plays, with with music, with skits on TikTok, kila kitu. do you think inauma more than even someone coming to parliament and saying, Mr. President, you're wrong. No. Kuna place inafinya harder.
Yes. Unajua kwa nini? When you take that, for lack of a better word, that very structured way of addressing issues, you lock out very many people. By the kuna wase vitu serious hawasikizangi. But ukiingiza na hiyo design ya that artistic way of doing it, you have the masses connects. Na hiyo ndio hawataki. Wanajua hii sasa chances za hii kwenda viral iko very high.
Right.
As opposed to mtu tu kusimama in a very formal setting kuambia wase nini. Hiyo wanajua. And that's why hawatasumbuana na some people wakiongea sana hapa. Jua wanajua nobody takes it seriously. Lakini skit memes. Hizo vitu zinaenda like wildfire, man. Actually, I think the reason why Trump is in office today ni sababu ya art. Hata si kitu ingine. Zile vitu watu walikuwa na zile podcast aliingia memes waso alimake zake nini hizo ndio vitu zimemweka in power.
Could tweet to every 30 minutes.
Yes.
It keeps you top of mind.
Exactly.
In a way.
Yeah.
So you almost like manipulate the public.
Yeah.
By being like, I'll be in your face. Vote and you vote.
Yes.
And people, I'll never vote. And they find themselves
up
on the day.
That's the power of
art,
man.
Censorship.
Let me see. Surprisingly, no. Hey, and the way I'm risky sometimes. Surprisingly, no. No, I've never. I've been fortunate enough.
Which is why I think we need to keep making sure that these things don't happen.
Yes.
So that next time we're having you on, by the way, Sasa, now it's beginning to happen. We can't be moving backwards.
Yeah.
But the trail from like when you start from Tidy High, it was entertainment, but it was meant to be informative. Yeah. And then now you're moving to a place where you're much more politically active.
True.
What has changed in the people that you're speaking to?
So when I was starting, we were all teenagers, man. So we cared less. Less about the economy, man. Now we are in the taxes.
Adulting.
So now it's pinching us proper. So even the messaging too has to change because my people have grown with me.
Right.
Beyonce sahi akianza kuimba Survivor, muda mchukulia serious.
But I can't relate.
I can't relate, man.
But imagine, I feel like a teenager right now is way more politically aware than I was a teenager, than you were as a teenager. And I think that's kind of robbing them of their teenage. It's just thinking about vibe. What are the economy at
like, how bad do you have to be for you to affect teenagers? Well, your teenagers ni watu hawajali about any. Hawajali. Ikifika mahali teenagers sasa wako wena. It's enough.
Just following up on Mariam's question, you might have answered it because I was just thinking, who does Abel write for? Do you write for the marginalized, misunderstood, the media? Like, who do you write for when you're putting something together?
Yes.
Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Actually, najua film school tulikuwa tunaambiwa, hapana, you can't write for everyone. You have to have a niche. Yeah. But me, I think I write for everyone. And that's why my things are very mass market. I might have very high production values kwa movies zenye nafanya, but the subject matter will be relatable, whether ni mtu wako Wajir, ama ni mtu wako Nairobi, whether ni mtu wako Kilimani, Karen, ama ni mtu wako Kawangware. I usually enjoy writing about subject matters that cut across. Like the movie that we did last year, it was a GBV issue. GBV ni GBV mtu wangu, whether uko US ama uko Somalia. Yeah, you will definitely relate. Yeah, so I feel good speaking to the masses. Nasikiaga tupo wase wengi wakiwa ndani. Sipendagi kuweka watu kwa silence.
You know, the issue of arts and governance.
Yeah.
They've always clashed.
True.
Right? True. Like to a great extent, religion and governance and politics have always clashed. It's like they're competing. Right? So let's take a break. When we come back, we look at now that clash.
Yes.
And how both sides can actually utilize this clash.
True.
To benefit the entire society.
Correct.
We have seen it. We have seen this particular play. We've seen Shackles of Doom.
Yes.
Went into exile because it was just Kwani
nimefanya makosa?
Kwani watu kuja Kameredo watu 10,000?
Kwani ni makosa?
Abel Mutua, mkurungezi, is our guest for this hour. We are talking about the arts and how the arts are transforming society. And also, we are segueing into what happened yesterday in Nakuru with the issue of Butere girls and their play, Echoes of War.